Okay, let's talk about the freezer. You know that feeling, right? You open the door and it's just dread. That cold box is supposed to be your friend, making life easier, but most of the time it's a huge source of stress. Well, in this explainer, we are going to change all that. We are going to build a system you can actually trust using what we're calling a two-sense approach. It's simple, but it's a game changer.
I mean, who hasn't been there? You're standing in front of the open freezer, this cold air blasting you, and you're holding some frosty, unidentifiable brick of food. Is it dinner? Is it a science project from last year? That exact moment of guesswork? Yeah, we're getting rid of that. For good.
And this is the core idea of the whole system. Seriously, you have to get this in your head. Forget everything you've seen online, those perfectly neat, color-coded freezers. That's not the goal. The goal isn't to be tidy, it's to be fast. To confirm, it's about certainty, knowing exactly what you've got in your hand like right now.
So how are we going to get there? It's a simple 5-part plan. We'll start with what I call the freezer guessing game. Then we'll make a simple map for your food. I'll introduce you to the 2-cent label rule, which is huge. Then we'll talk about your first out bin and wrap it all up with a super quick 3-minute weekly reset that keeps the whole thing running.
All right, let's kick things off with part 1, the freezer guessing game. And this is so important because we have to totally reframe what the actual problem is here. The real fight isn't against the mess in your freezer, it's against time.
See, this is the real enemy. It's not the jumble of stuff, it's the time it takes to confidently know what something is. It's that mental energy you waste, squinting at it, trying to figure it out. That little bit of friction, that hesitation, that's the moment you give up and just decide to order a pizza. That's the enemy.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? Pulling out what you think is chili, but it's actually pasta sauce. It's not going to ruin your life, but man, is it annoying. And all those little annoyances, they really add up. But here's the thing, that's not you failing, that's your system failing. The mystery brick only exists because the system broke down. So okay, let's build a better one.
Okay, on to our first real solution, creating a simple map for your food. And the key word here is simple. We're building a system based on your intent, like what you plan to do with the food, not some complicated scientific chart of food groups.
And here it is, the whole map. It is literally this easy. At the top, you've got your ready-to-eat stuff, leftover soup, frozen dinners, things you can grab and heat up. The middle, that's for proteins, chicken, beef, fish, whatever. And the bottom is for all your bulk stuff and your backups. The question you're asking is no longer where's the beef, it's what can I eat right now? It's a total shift in thinking.
Now a quick pro tip if you're using bins to separate these zones. Those cute matching pastel-colored bins might look great on Instagram, but inside a frosty freezer with that weird little light, they all just kind of blur together. What you actually need is high contrast. Think dark bins versus light bins, something your eyes can immediately, reliably tell apart without even thinking.
Okay, buckle up, because this next part, this is the absolute heart of the entire system. It's called the 2-cent label rule. And it's all about making sure you can confirm what something is with both your sight and your sense of touch.
So here's the definition. It's a hard and fast rule. No item enters the freezer unless you can identify it in 2 separate ways. So that means a visual label your eyes can read, of course, but also a tactile marker that your fingers can feel. This is what creates total certainty. This is how you go from, I think this is chili, to, yep, I know this is chili. So what does that actually look like? Well, here's a super simple example of a tactile legend. You could use, say, 1 raised dot for stuff in your first out bin, 2 raised dots for ready-made meals, maybe a textured rubber band for all your proteins. Honestly, the exact system doesn't matter. What matters is that it's simple and your fingers can tell the difference without you even looking.
And then for your first sense, your sight, the label itself is like a little contract you make with future you. You got to keep it short, you got to keep it consistent, and it only needs 4 things. That's it. What is it? When did you freeze it? How many servings are there? And a quick cue on how to reheat it. That's everything your tired future self is going to need to know.
All right, next up is the part of the system that stops your food from turning into, frozen archaeology. It's your first out bin, and you can think of it as your freezer's conscience. And the rule for this bin could not be simpler. If it's been touched, if it's been opened, if it's partially used, it belongs here. That open bag of frozen peas, the last couple of veggie burgers, that half-empty container of stock, they all go directly into this bin. This is what keeps them from migrating to the back of the freezer to be forgotten for a decade.
Okay, so you've got this awesome system set up.
how do you actually maintain it so it doesn't just fall apart in 2 weeks? Well, that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, the 3-minute weekly reset. And this is how you keep the whole thing alive with pretty much minimal effort.
Yep, you heard that right. 3 minutes. That is literally all it takes once a week. We are not talking about a huge weekend clean-out project. This is just a tiny, tiny tune-up that makes all the difference in the world.
So what do you do in those 3 minutes? It's 3 simple steps. 1. Look in your first out bin and just pick one thing to use this week. Easy. 2. Do a quick scan of all your other labels. If anything's peeling off or smudged, fix it. And 3. Put any new stuff you've bought or made into its correct zone with the label already on it. Done.
Because at the end of the day, a freezer you can really trust isn't built on some complex, perfect system. It's built from fewer choices, stronger labels, and that one tiny weekly reset. That's what brings the stress level way down and actually gives you back your time and your sanity.
So you might be thinking, okay, this sounds great, but where do I even start? I get it. It can feel overwhelming. So here's your very next step. It's clear, it's immediate, and it only takes 15 minutes.
Seriously, you could do this tonight. Just set a timer for 15 minutes. First, decide on your 3 main zones: top, middle, bottom. Then, just grab like 10 things you use all the time. Label them with that 4-field method we talked about, and add just one kind of tactile marker to them. That's all. You're not trying to conquer the whole freezer at once. You're just creating a little island of total certainty to get started.
And that really brings us to the final thought here. Look, this was never really about just finding the chili faster. It's about getting that wasted mental energy back. So the real question I want to leave you with is this. What could you do, not just in the kitchen, but everywhere else, with a little less guesswork in your life?